Hello.
Yeah, that's your name.
Squirrels got me.
Big Jim.
Yeah.
really cold and fun.
Cold and fun.
Cold and fun.
That's good that you think that of it, because that's what deer hunting typically is cold and fun.
Yesterday morning, I'm glassing up on the pass and I see these deer moving, and I'm like, ooh, there's deer moving. All of a sudden, I just see this person just head down, just hauling ass, wearing shorts and a t-shirt with a pack on. And I'm like, is that Tard? My dad always talks about floating through the woods like the autumn breeze.
So Robert's
when you're
the
275 pounds, I don't know how you do that, but
the Freightliner. It's just like a creeper. You're just kind of up in the corner watching what's going on down there.
yeah.
You know.
He's like,
he's up there slapping, pissing all over everything.
is it warm yet?
How did you know the name of the actor?
That's right. I know.
What did you say his name?
Hervé Villechaize. Remember this?
Welcome to the Log Talk Podcast, brought to you by Pertinier Outdoors.
Yeah, it's the podcast has begun. All right, so welcome back to another episode. You can't hear me very well at all. I'm turned down. Hold on here. Which one am I? Hello.
You mess it all up now?
I'm not messed up. It's just if I feel like I'm not hearing myself. Hello. There we are. I'm picking up on your guys' microphones pretty well. Hey. All right. So, welcome to this week's episode of the Log Talk Podcast, brought to you by Pertinier Outdoors. And I am sitting down here with Brian Gottfried and my brother Jimmy Harvey. So everybody knows him as Big Jim. Mm-hmm. So the three of us have gotten together here today. Primary reason to get together with Brian is Brian's very involved with NWTF. And as I mentioned on the podcast over the last few episodes, it is banquet season. So we wanted to connect with Brian, as that's how Jimmy and I have gotten to know Brian over the last 3, 4, 5 years plus. We've gotten to know you through NWTF and through the banquets here with our local chapter. So first off, thank you for having us on.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for having us at your house. Thank you for the beer that I'm going to take a sip of.
Of course.
And I guess I'll pass it over to you to kind of introduce yourself. And we just kind of started talking a little bit. And funny thing, you, Jimmy, and I all went to the same high school. You're a little bit older than we are, so we don't
have to emphasize that.
Well, that's okay. So last night I gave up and I just shaved my head because I'm losing my hair.
Yeah, you might as well just get rid of it.
So
tap out to baldness.
Yeah, it's fine. And
you're losing it, I'm growing it out.
Sarah,
we're good to go.
Sarah was saying to me last night, she's like, you realize that you're giving up and your brother is just letting it go. I was like, yeah.
Fantastic.
It's all right.
You know?
We all have our...
One of the Harveys got to be able to grow hair.
It's giving up on both sides. You're giving up on maintenance in general.
Yeah,
and that's why I keep my hair short, too.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to deal with it.
No. You want to get out of bed and just hit the ground running.
I realized mine's been short my entire life, and I just started letting it grow, and I'm like, holy crap, I can grow hair, so I'm just going to let it go.
Yeah.
Mine's 2 weeks going since a haircut, and it's about at the limit. I can't stand it. I have to go get it.
You could almost pick that thing. That thing's ready to be an afro.
Stop. It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
But I graduated in '98. What year did you guys graduate?
06 is when I
07
graduated.
for me.
Okay.
Did you play sports? I feel like you didn't.
My younger brothers, I have 2 younger brothers. We're all 2 years apart. So Jason would have graduated in 2000, Dan in 2002.
And did they play football?
Yeah.
Both of them?
Jason did. Dan may have in the beginning. I don't think he followed.
Because I remember there being a Gottfried on the football team.
Yeah, he played varsity all 4 years at high school. Maybe
he was
even since
a lineman?
middle school. Yep.
Okay.
Big dude.
Yes. Okay. Because I remember because I was a lineman coming up.
Yep.
So probably when he was on varsity, I would have been like modified.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's just when you're on modified, you're looking at these dudes in varsity, and you're like, oh, he's a giant. So yeah,
he's a big dude no matter what.
Yeah.
But
Is he still around, or?
Yeah, he actually runs that new YMCA that they built on the corner of Clover Street and Jefferson Road.
No shit.
Yeah, so you can go see him there whenever you want.
Free pass? Free day pass?
I wish. I'm actually on, like, hopefully this week I'll go sign up, but I don't know.
No, you
free
should.
Pass.
Nah, just keep drinking these Jennies.
Yeah.
Well,
12-ounce curls, you know. one at a time.
Yeah.
Don't want to get out of control.
Yeah, no, he's still there. My youngest brother lives in Florida, but I lived in Virginia. Well, I guess so. Let's start. My name's Brian Gottfried. I'm the regional director for Western New York for the National Wild Turkey Federation. I was hired. It was about a year ago in September.
I thought you were the president of NWTF. That's the horizontal.
I wish that was the case.
Oh, okay. You're working there. You're working towards it.
I was the president of the state chapter when I got hired as staff, and I was also the president of the Crossroads Limb Hangers, which is the banquet that you guys attend in Lima every year.
Yep.
I started that chapter from scratch 10 years ago when I moved back here from Virginia. I went to Virginia for like 9 years after college and worked for an environmental consulting firm down there. And after like 4 or 5 years, I would drive back to New York every single weekend in May to turkey hunt.
Yeah.
I mean, the least amount of days that I hunted in New York when I lived in Virginia for turkey season, which is the month of May, was 14.
Wow.
And the most was like 21. I used my vacation time, and that's what I wanted to do. And I got sick of doing that. So I always, when I went down there for my interview, they took me to a NWTF banquet. Somehow, like, it's sad to say, but that was kind of like when I first started having an email account. And somehow they got my email account, and I would randomly, on occasion, get emails from the Turkey Federation about having meetings and whatever. Finally, after a few years of driving back and forth all the time, I thought I need to just get involved with the NWTF and network with turkey hunters around here. Maybe I can find a place to hunt.
Yeah.
Northern Virginia was really hard to find places to hunt. So I got involved with the chapter there, helped them right off the bat, and after a couple years, I moved back to New York and started my own. I reached out and said, hey, is there a local chapter that I could help, or could I start my own? And the regional director at the time, Marty Huber, he said, yeah, you could start one if you want. So that's how the Crossroads Limb Hangers came about.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I had no idea. I know this is the 10th.
This will be the 10th anniversary.
of
Yep.
it, so.
So you've moved on since then. You're not in charge of that one anymore?
I got hired as staff. It's my full-time job now. So,
All right, so I derailed you. I'm sorry. I was trying to be a smart ass about you being the president of NWTF. So let's go back to that. So your role
my
exactly
position
in
is
NWTF.
regional director.
Okay.
My territory is Western New York, specifically from Seneca Lake west.
Okay.
It used to be 81 from when Marty was the RD. He had from 81 west and even some in the other territory. But to simplify things, when I got hired, we realigned and just shifted that line so that myself and Sean Langevin, who's the regional director in the eastern part of the state, had an equal amount of banquets. He was pulled out of some out-of-state banquets, and that way it evened it up for both of us.
Yeah.
Less traveling for him, kind of. And, so now I've actually lost some banquets. I lost like 4 last year. I take that back. We lost 3 net ones last year, and then I'm down 2 so far this year. So I got my work cut out for me.
So when you say you've lost them, what does that mean?
I had 25 chapters,
Okay.
25 banquets. And then what happened was there were guys that just had been in it for a long time, 25 plus years. They wanted to quit 10 years ago, and the guy before me said, just stick with me till I retire. And that's what they did. So me being the new guy, it was easy to say no. And totally understandable, you know, I get it.
It's a lot. It's definitely, I see what you guys do and now your dad's doing for this chapter. And, there's a lot that goes into it, but it's a passion project, really.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, your dad's doing this when you're in that position as a chapter president. There's no monetary. You're volunteering your time.
Absolutely.
So it's got to come from your heart. You have to be in.
Yeah, and I've really, all the stuff that I've done throughout the banquet and the tickets and the raffles and everything has always been through your father.
Yeah. He's been my right-hand man from the get-go.
Yeah.
And I definitely, it wouldn't be where it's at now without him. For him to take that over was a no-brainer, and I'm glad that he did it. In my position, the fact that I have all these other chapters, time itself limits how much I can actually still do. I feel bad because, it is my baby. It is something that I started, but I have to be fair to all my other local chapters. I can't devote more time to them, and I really don't, because I don't have the time to. Believe it or not, it's a full-time, all the time job. I work from home, I make my own schedule, but my phone's always on and there's always something to be done.
Yeah.
And the fact that my dad was willing to step up to the plate, it was a good thing. He's going to blow it out of the water, and we've improved it every year, whether it's number wise, like attendance, or financially with our the amount of money raised. So you guys know about that.
They might be contributors to that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Very proud of our.
Yeah.
My father has, I think last year he won like 6 of the silent auction things because he didn't understand how it was working. So he just.
Well, he won. I think he won like all the knives.
Yeah.
He went through and just like put a bid on them. Didn't know it was about to close or something, and they all closed, and he won them all.
Yeah. So we'll talk a little bit about banquets and how they operate, because I think it's really cool. I haven't been to other organizations like NWTF. I haven't been under other banquets, but the first one I went to, I'm like, oh my god, this is just so much fun. So whether it's, you see them all, so maybe they all run a little bit differently, but
They do.
So let's talk about your transition into. So you had your job you had down in Virginia, you moved back up here, and then how did this transition for you getting involved to the level that you're at now? How did that all happen?
I was working for a civil engineering firm up here in the land surveying department, but I had a background in wildlife biology and wetland biology, so I was kind of I didn't actually do a whole lot of that. I did a stint as like an environmental monitor on a pipeline, but pretty much it was land surveying. I was at the point where I was sitting at a desk every day, managing or supervising field crews that were working on my projects, drafting, doing that kind of thing. And to be honest with you, just driving to work every day and sitting in front of a computer screen was not what I wanted to do. It's not why I went to school for wildlife biology.
Yeah.
It just morphed into what it was. And when I knew that Marty was getting ready to retire, I had actually been asked to apply to be a regional director in the past, one time in Virginia and one time in New York, actually. And I turned him down because in my mind that was a road gig. If I wanted to do that, I would go follow a friend that's a musician and be a roadie. But I'm an outdoorsman. I want to be home and be able to go hunting and fishing and have a family life. And so it didn't seem appealing. But the more I got involved with the Crossroads chapter, and then I was on the state board right from the get-go also, and I became the Save the Hunt coordinator for them. We can talk about that. Yeah. Progressed up through to be the president of the state chapter. Ironically, I got elected the state chapter president in March, and then I got hired in July. So I really didn't have any time to do it. I ran one board meeting. Yeah. But as a volunteer, I just wanted to make an impact, right? Like the reason I went to school for wildlife biology was, or wildlife management, whatever you want to call it. I did that because I wanted to leave an impact, right? Nobody in my family hunted when I was growing up. My dad fished. He got me into fishing, and finding friends in school that I fished with, their dads hunted. And so that, sometimes magazines, Field and Stream type thing would have both of that, hunting and fishing in there. So it piqued my interest. And one year it was opening day of gun season. My friend's mom took us to the DEC where they had the check station. And I walked into that little A-frame house at the Region 8 office, and I saw one little trifold pamphlet that said Apprentice Hunter Program. I read it quick. It said something about pairing up kids that didn't have anybody to teach them to hunt with somebody that would do that. I put my name in there. There was nowhere to leave it. I just left it on a desk somewhere. And they called me back like a month or two later. It might even been more than that. I don't remember the time frame, but it was a while. I'd forgotten about it. And all of a sudden, there's a call at the house. My mom answers. It's somebody from the DEC. They've paired me up with a mentor hunter. And turns out that guy, his name was Ned Holmes. He was the manager of natural resources for Region 8. Cool. Lived in Livonia or Hemlock. And he took me, the first thing we did was go scouting for spring turkeys. I didn't hunt that spring. I think I was 12 at the time. And there might have been some confusion about whether you could actually hunt without a parent with you kind of thing. But we went woodcock hunting in the fall. He had a German short hair. And then it just snowballed. So like I said, my dad didn't hunt, but he started hunting when I did. And
that's really cool.
That guy, he even took my dad out on an opening day of deer season down on Italy Hill. And
so it's not like it was a one time the guy takes you out and shows you how to hunt and lets you
that
go.
was the coolest thing about that Apprentice Hunter program is that you kept a journal, and it was for like an entire hunting season. And then at the end, they had like a little get together and a pheasant hunt with all the apprentice and mentors. But after that, you were done. You weren't obligated to keep going. But I wanted to hunt, so I kept calling. He kept calling me, and
so you guys developed a relationship.
Yeah, for sure. And we hunted up until this past hunting 2 hunting seasons ago.
Wow.
He's just got to the point where he can't get out anymore. But I have video of us doubling on turkeys.
That's
on
awesome.
Our last turkey hunt. It was pretty
That's
awesome.
And that, I guess that makes sense as to why you're so passionate about what you're doing now.
Yeah.
And the motives, the things. So you got into talking about Save the Hunt.
Yeah.
And you needed that type of stuff when you were at that age to help you get going. So I guess let's dive into that. Like, what is Save the Hunt?
So the Turkey Federation, they started this new initiative. It's called Save the Habitat, Save the Hunt. If you've been around a banquet, if you've gotten the magazines, you've seen that. It's been around for a number of years now. That initiative was twofold: Save the Hunt, Save the Habitat. The habitat is the conservation side of things. The Save the Hunt side is the outreach programs like our Jake's programs, Women in the Outdoors, Wheelin' Sportsmen. Those are our 3 big outreach programs. But the Turkey Federation realized that we need to do more. We've always had a Jake's program. We've always had Women in the Outdoors and Wheelin' Sportsmen. All that. They've been in place, but we were missing the boat in recruiting new hunters. And if you guys, I'm sure you're aware that hunter numbers are declining rapidly, and we need to do something to change that, because hunters are what pay for conservation. And so they've partnered up with a bunch of different organizations and kind of spearheaded this whole R3 movement, which I've heard you guys talk about on your podcast, so I know you know what that is. But it's R3 stands for recruitment, retention, and reactivation, and that's kind of the umbrella for recruiting new hunters. And we could get into that. It could be a whole podcast in itself what that is. But go ahead. Yeah,
no, I was just saying I think it needs to be like there's so much to talk about here, but like each one of these podcasts I end up doing and thinking about these little like niche. And I listen to all this stuff, and I was telling somebody about this the other day. Like I listened to all these discussions about how the hunter numbers are dwindling. I'm not very good at like regurgitating stats. Like I hear it and I understand the challenge, and that's part of the reason why we're doing this podcast is to like talk about this sort of stuff. I'm not the best to explain that. So we should definitely, put that on the docket of something else to get on with, and maybe get like a panel of people that like yourself and maybe somebody like Todd. Like Todd's incredibly good at discussing things around that. So it would be cool to dive further into that conversation. But
you're talking about Todd Waldron.
Todd Waldron, I thought it just went obvious.
People that listen to your podcast will definitely know who he is. But I ran into him at the legislative breakfast in Albany a few years ago. They just had it.
Yeah, he was there.
But I ran into him there and met him, and I turned him on. There's actually a group or a website, this R3 community website that I know he got involved with, and to help keep BHA in New York at least on the forefront of that stuff too. It seems like a never-ending battle, and sometimes it gets a little daunting and feels like you're not getting anywhere. But and in my stack of papers here in front of me, I have for the Turkey Federation, we have like a quarterly dashboard that we track. And one of the biggest problems with recruiting hunters or enhancing habitat, whatever it may be, is tracking your progress. How do you do that? So the Turkey Federation has put into place some systems to do that, and so we're trying to be very good about keeping track of all of our numbers, and we've done really good. The Save the Habitat, Save the Hunt initiative started in 2000. Oh man, I can't believe I can't remember. It's going to be, I think, 2012. Okay, the goal was to enhance like 2.5 million acres to create. Actually, I'll just look at it. So
don't try to impress us. Just
that was the wrong one. Bear with me.
I'll play some Jeopardy music.
There
here.
you go. So they let's talk about it like this. They had a goal to enhance a certain number of acres, to increase the access to a certain number of acres, and to create a certain number of hunters. The end of this initiative technically was going to be or those goals were set to be reached by 2023, and we met our goal of creating 1.5 million new hunters this past year.
Okay.
Really?
So, yeah, it's awesome that we did that.
I was gonna ask you, like, what kind of participation do you see in that? Is it hard to get new hunters in, or is it, you get it out there and a lot of people come to you, or?
No, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to get participation. It's hard to get some of the local chapters or just members in general to report their results. If you guys are members because you come to banquets every year, if you take a new person hunting, we can record that as a hunter, as a mentored hunt, right? We know there's a bunch of different avenues. Hunter ed instructors can report. If you're an NWTF member, you can report through us, the people that went through your class. We know that not everybody that goes through a class buys a license. Buying a license would make you a hunter, right? So there's a formula to figure out what percentage of those actually are considered hunters created. We have incentives for hunter ed instructors that do that. They can win prizes or they'll be put into raffles for prizes just by recording their hunters. The chapters that do things like a youth hunt, a mentored hunt, most of them around in New York were pretty good about it, but I'm sure there's still some that slip through the cracks, but we're getting better at it. But the problem is getting people there, getting volunteers there on both sides, the mentor side and the kids side. It seems like every year, and you guys probably have felt this or seen this, where, you talk to somebody and they say, oh, I wish I had a kid to take out this youth weekend.
We've been saying that for years.
There's 10 of us in our family.
For about the last 15 years. That's how long I've been out of it.
Yeah. Well, on my side, I hold so the Crossroads Limb Hangers hold a youth hunt every year, and we're always looking for mentors, and we're also always looking for kids too.
Yeah. So if you're somebody listening to this, or Jimmy and I sitting in this room, and if you want to get involved with that, what's the easiest way to get involved with the program of that nature?
Look up your local chapter on the NWTF website. Contact them. There's contact information for all the chapters. At a minimum, my name and Sean's name in the eastern part of the state, we're listed on the website as the regional directors. You can always contact one of us. The state chapter president's on there. The new Save the Hunt coordinator's on there. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of people to call. And all you got to do is call. They'll point you in the right direction for wherever you live.
Yeah. And now to Jimmy's question, which is a great question, by the way, Jim. So how do you record, let's say I take out a new hunter this year. How do I record that to you guys? Same method, reach out to you and say I took someone out, or is there like a web on the website? Okay.
You could reach out to me. I'm just going to show you how to go onto the website. You can go on the website and there's two different buttons to push. One of them, you're recording hunters through a registered event. The other one, you're just registering hunters, a non-registered event. Mm-hmm. And you click on that button. There's an option if you're a hunter ed instructor, if you're just a member that took somebody hunting for the first time.
Yeah. Because I think that that's important.
Even to break it down a little bit further, you're talking hunting for the first time, but somebody could be a deer hunter but not a turkey hunter.
Right.
So you take them out and introduce them to turkey hunting. Is that kind of considered?
Yeah, it's hunters. We don't care if you're hunting squirrels or doves or whatever it is.
Some people could have had their hunting license for the last 15 years and not been doing it, but then, I come along and start talking to them like, you're turkey hunted? No. I take them out, so it's kind of like, is that considered?
That wouldn't be a new hunter because they've already been hunting. It'd be a first time, in the woods type of deal. In some fashion, they've been already counted if they've been deer hunting for 15 years.
Right.
We at least know that license is being purchased.
So you're looking for like a first time license holder.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't have. There's people that might buy a license and not hunt.
Right.
But, they intend to and then they don't.
Yeah. But they're looking for that person to help them, and that's what you're doing is...
Yep.
Yeah, it's cool. And I think statistics are a big part of this now, where, everybody wants to look at the statistics and understand, are we making an impact? And like you said, you guys have those three key figures that you're looking at that are measurables, and it's folks out there, just normal people like you and I, that need to be reporting on this stuff to help show that we're making progress, because it, to your point a few minutes ago, it seems like a never-ending battle, but it all starts with one. If each one of us takes out one person each year, that one person might impact 2 people, and then those 2 people might impact 3 people, and the next thing you know, it's just compounding. Yep. So I think that's how we have to look at all this, and that's when we were talking about like what's the purpose of Pert Near Outdoors and what are we trying to do here. It's like, let's influence the sphere around us, and then all those people that we impact will impact someone else, and it's like growing a community. So we're trying to have fun. We're trying to show that this is fun. It's a great lifestyle, and it's like you share that with people. How can you not? I can't not go outside and just be happy. I go for a walk for 3 hours and I'm just like, all the stress is gone. Right. And I can't understand people and I was just gonna say, I can't understand people that don't do that. But if they haven't done that, they don't understand it. Right. So like, just get them to just taste what that's like. And
so many times, like even just this deer season, for example, like I'd be sitting there in a tree stand, just kind of like zoned out, just going, I don't know what I would do without this. Like, this is just being able to come out here and just see nature and, let the world be simple. And, killing something is almost not even, you're not worried about it at that point. It's just being out there and enjoying it. And obviously the experiences that come along with it are another major reason why we do it. But just being able to get out there and use the outdoors is unbelievable. A lot of people might do it in different ways, or
have different opinions on stuff,
or they just don't do it. But a lot of times you take somebody new out and they'll fall right in love with it like you are. So,
and I think you have to make it about more than the kill, because I love turkey hunting because I love going out in the spring when it's quiet and it's cold and you're out there and you hear the woods wake up. I am a horrible turkey hunter. Jimmy will just agree with that, because that's the thing he has definitely got over my head, is I am bad. I shot my first longbeard this year, and I told Jimmy, I go, I hope you can come with me tomorrow, because I don't have any turkey stories to tell, because the only one I've got that's any good, I didn't do a damn thing. I just sat at the tree where he told me to sit, and the bird came right to me. But it's so it's just such a fun, and turkey hunting is so easy to get into. You don't need all this cold weather gear and all this fancy stuff. Like, you just need to be able to sit still and have a gun and get out there.
I mean, you can take one of those push button box calls and get it done. You don't need to be a great caller.
Right.
You definitely don't. It's that's the best thing about turkey hunting is that it's nice out usually. Right. I mean, I have some horror stories. I tried to get some a buddy of mine. I was living in Virginia. I had a friend that lived down there. Him and his wife, they're from Wisconsin, so they're not afraid of winter, but they went to we went I told him, like, let's get your wife into turkey hunting, and it's she deer hunts, so she love turkey hunting. It's nice out, the weather's great, and it's just so much fun. So we picked a weekend. We drove up to New York from Virginia to introduce her to this great fair-weathered hunting experience. And it snowed, blizzard, wind and rain and snow the entire time.
Oh, God.
Like, birds were just... You when you see birds in the wintertime, you drive by a field and they're, like, hunkered down out in the middle of the field. They just look miserable. Yeah. That was the state of those birds for the 3 days we were in New York.
Go figure.
Of course, it was like, trust me, it's not like you can call and they'll gobble back at you, and they're all excited and they come running in, and they're just all, we'd see them out in fields and they were just miserable. They would not answer calls. And
we had that happen to us this year, me and my buddy Adam. We went up north, and we always want more time up north, so we ended up taking Friday off. We jetted up there Thursday night, and it was a freaking monsoon all day Friday. We were like, are you kidding me? Yeah. Like, the one day we take off.
Did you hunt it? Did you hunt
Didn't even get out of the truck.
Really?
I mean, we got out in like 2 spots and called, and it was just the flocks of birds that we were seeing were, like you said, they're just out in the middle of the fields, just like heads down, not doing nothing.
I've gotten better at not hunting through terrible weather conditions for turkeys anyways.
If you can catch like the tail end of a heavy rain or something, I mean, you're going to be golden.
Yeah, but and I've realized, like, I love nothing more than turkey hunting, like, the morning after it rained all night long. Yeah. It seems like they're so fired up. Yeah. But to a fault, I can't not hunt.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going out when it's windy, when it's rainy, and I'm gonna be mad about it because I'm not hearing anything or seeing anything. But it worked. Like I've killed birds in the rain. I've killed birds in the wind.
Yeah.
Just I've gone and done like turkey hunting seminars at Dick's and whatever through the years, and the one thing I can start off and end with and repeat 100 times every time is the one constant in turkey hunting is that there is no constant. It's like
that's very true.
There's no rules, so you gotta always be adapting, think outside the box, and just do whatever it takes. It might mean doing some really ridiculous shit sometimes, but it gets it done.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, the number of times that we've just had chess matches with the same bird over and over and over again is just unbelievable. I love it.
Keeps me going back.
Especially
if it gets into like 2, 3, 4 days of dealing with the same bird, or at least
every single
a
weekend.
bird in the same area. It becomes.
I'll take your word for it. I have no idea. I'm just bad. I go up. I think I sound great calling, and Jimmy's like, "Dude, you're terrible."
You and Adam, it's like, just don't.
Yeah. Well,
just stop.
You just keep doing.
But you know what?
You'll just get better.
I've had it before where me and Adam have been together, and I'm calling away, and I'm like, "Oh, that sounds great." They're not answering. Adam will be behind me, and he'll let out something that I'm not even sure what it is, and they'll gobble at it. I'm like, "Well, I guess you're calling now."
Yeah. Well, I'm not wearing. I got the meat eater shirt that has all the different things that makes turkeys.
Oh
gobble.
yeah,
nice.
that's awesome.
Shock gobble.
Yeah, like I'm using my bugle tube all year this year. I'll tell you right now. Like that's just what I'm doing.
That's hilarious. Bill, I might bring you out for that.
You for real are? Or?
Yeah. I'm like it's right on the shirt. I don't know why I never thought of it before. It's gonna be a weird. Like I've got him to gobble off of, referee whistles. One day we were looking for my buddy's lost beagles, and his dad did one of those whistles where you put your fingers in your mouth and just super piercing loud whistle, and birds gobbled down the pipeline. And I was like, wait a minute, I can't do that. But I went and bought a referee whistle, and that thing was in my turkey vest for years.
Really?
And if I couldn't get a bird to gobble, I'd hammer on that whistle, and it would work
Just
every
shock
once in a
them.
while. Yeah. That's all. They just need to gobble once and let me know where they are. And then it's,
What's the weirdest thing you've ever had them shock gobble to?
I was running an impact gun in one of our meadows, and there was a turkey not 150 yards above me that started gobbling his ass off.
That's awesome.
We had these bat houses in the middle of our meadows, and I wanted to build shooting targets. So I think it was like the weekend before turkey. I was up there taking these bat houses down. I was running an impact gun. And I ran like 3 screws out and put the gun down. This gobbler's just going nuts. And then he stopped, and I picked my gun up and I hammered another screw out, and he gobbled again. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But yeah, that's probably the most bizarre thing I've had him shock gobble to.
That's funny. Talking about the bugle tube, we were out coyote hunting last weekend. I was telling these guys back during the summer I was getting ready for going out to Colorado for elk. So we were doing some target shooting with the muzzle loaders, and it's right at last light, done shooting. So I pulled a bugle out and I'm practicing, and again, it's probably not good, just making a bunch of noise. But this coyote fires up. And when you think about it, the cadence of a bugle is really not a whole lot different than some coyote howls.
Oh, yeah.
And I've never heard a coyote make those noises, and with that like tenacity and like anger, I was just like, holy shit. Brian was standing right next to me, and I'm like, that's fucking crazy. He's like, yeah. I was like, that thing's coming. He pulls his pistol out and he's ready. He's always ready for something to come running in. Yeah. Yeah, it is. That's the fun part about turkey too, is that you don't get too yanked up about it. It's like, you don't. Well,
yeah, you do.
Okay, it's coming from
when
me.
you have somebody sitting next to you just telling you what to do.
Yeah,
don't get that
I don't get that. It's like Jimmy's like, sit here, we'll double up. I'm like, okay. You and I have had some rodeos where we used to hunt together on opening day every day.
That one opening day was probably the craziest hunt I've ever had in my life.
Yeah,
and we didn't kill a damn thing.
There was like 8 or 10 jakes in that one tree,
and then they came down and they started attacking the big bird. And Billy's gun, there was a sapling. You guys can't see my hands, but Billy's barrel was sticking out like an inch past this sapling, and he couldn't move the gun to the left. And the freaking big bird was standing there like 15 yards, and we couldn't shoot him. And then all these jakes came up and attacked him.
And they're all just the toms jumping in the air, and the jakes are coming at them.
Yeah. And then they all went running down over the edge of the hill, and it was just chaos.
Yeah.
And they ended up circling us, some of the jakes did. And the freaking neighbors next door started shooting down the field behind us. They had snuck into us because they heard what was going on down there.
But they didn't know we were there.
They didn't know we were there. And next thing you know, there's freaking BB spraying across the grass behind us, and that didn't go over well.
No, we
I
went
was
down and
probably
had a
pretty pissed off,
conversation because that was not, they were not on their property.
and we got yelled at for being on their property when they first got it. We didn't know who was there, but it was just something we always hunted.
It was just, casual misunderstanding
No, it
happens.
was.
Yeah.
So
But the, that
that
like
was nuts,
just
though. It was
a
absolutely
lot
nuts.
of crazy fun times with turkey, and it's different than deer in the fact where with deer you got to be super quiet all the time, and you're like, I love going up the night before and going out and trying to roost them. Like it's just a
take a couple
different
beers,
approach.
go out in the woods with your crow call or whatever. try
Watch
to-
the sunset, listen to them.
Yeah, I've had mixed results with roosting birds through the years. I've had some years where it works really good. I've had regions like I can't get a bird to gobble at night here, but I could get it to gobble down in the Catskills. They'll gobble at everything. Or just certain properties, I just never seem to get them to gobble at night, but I'm still going every single night. Like that's.
See, we used to do it all the time, but it just seemed like sometimes we go up there, and next thing you know, we're like walking through the middle of them, or
Yeah,
just
jumping them off roost.
So
Yeah.
it's got to the point where like we know where these birds roost traditionally. It's like if we get in our spots, we'll hear the first gobble. If we got to make an adjustment, we will. But that was something as kids we used to go up there all the time and roost birds. Like that's what we were doing every night. But it got to the point the last few years where it's just like, yeah, we know where they are. We're trying to spook stuff, so we just stay out of there.
Just stay at the cabin and make some burgers
Just drink beer.
And for people listening that don't know what roosting birds is at night they go up to their roost, and typically they're either gobbling on their own so they can locate each other, or you can get them to gobble by using a crow call or using an owl hooter or even like a soft turkey call. You could get them to.
You
Howls,
can just do a normal turkey calling.
Yeah.
Like we'll go out when we stay at the cabin. We'll just go out in the yard, and we got the two hills there, and my uncle will just go out there with his box call and hammer away on it right at dark. And normally you'll hear them if they can hear it, they'll sound off. So
The reason that maybe one of the reasons why people don't use turkey calls to roost is you don't want them to assume that's where you're going to be, right? But
maybe that's what we're doing wrong.
Look, it's
maybe we're on the top of the hill. And they're
guys-
standing in the yard of the cabin.
You guys leave in the morning and you go all the way over there, and they're coming to the camp.
if you're calling from camp and they gobble at you, and then you go to their other side and come in,
Right.
yeah, there's a good chance that they're probably
That'd be
silent and
hilarious.
walking
Put a
to the
trail
camp.
cam in the yard of the cabin. There's probably gobblers strutting around all morning there.
I'll give you a little pro tip. If I have traditional roosting areas, right, they might have multiple ways that they leave that in the morning. I'll go to the most convenient one for me, get in close, get into where I would want to be in the morning, and then rather than owl hoot or crow call, I might hoot. I hoot with my voice, so I don't have to worry about leaving stuff behind or whatever. But I'll hoot, and if I get a response, all right, I know they're there, which I have to do that for my peace of mind in the morning. It'll help me decide where I'm going to go, what I'm going to do. But if they answer and the situation's right, I'll move into where I want to be in the morning, and then I won't make any calls from there. But when I know they're in the tree, I'll take my hat or something. I just use a hat, but some people have artificial wings or real wings, and I will make it like sound like I'm flying up, and that's it. I might even do a little cackle, but usually I just flap the hat a few times. Go in there in the morning, don't make a peep. If nothing exciting happens right off the bat, I might do some very light tree yelps and just sit there. And I've had birds. I've killed birds on a couple of occasions doing that, but it's increased my interactions with them. Like, might not always work out. I mean, that's just the way turkey hunting is. But it's been a nice little trick
Might have to try that
in the
trick
right
this spring.
situation. You can kind of persuade which way they're going to go.
Right.
That being said, if he's got a bunch of hens with him and they go, it's hard to pull him away from that. But
freaking last year on opening day, we were down in the bottom corner where we normally were, and it's always worked out great. And we had birds going, but they went high across behind us into the field, and they all went right down the middle of the field and away from us. And my uncle got one at the other end of the field. So that was Thursday or Wednesday was opening day last year, I think. I don't remember, but anyways,
by the end of the season,
it was
all blurred
Wednesday.
together.
It was
does
Wednesday.
sound about right.
So-
It was Wednesday.
I think we took Friday off, me and Adam. So we went up there Friday, gave him a day's rest, and we got high where they came out on opening day. I'm like, we're not calling, we're not doing nothing. I'm like, we're just going to park it there. the entire flock came except for the freaking big bird. He was down in the bottom corner gobbling his ass off.
Of course he is. That's how turkeys work.
And there was like 4 jakes that like walked across the end of my feet and walked away. And Adam's like, shoot him. I'm like, there's a big bird like right there. I'm not shooting. And then they come across and they go by him. And I'm like, don't shoot. And he let them walk, and they all ended up meeting out in the middle of the field. And then there was 2 or 3 longbeards at the other end that were always coming out in the morning. And they got out there and got in a fight. A couple of the big birds. One flew in out of nowhere and just like blew up the other birds that were strutting. And the one came towards us. So we just started letting out some soft calls, and we ran the edge of the woods. And he started coming, but he wouldn't come. So that started downpouring, so we left. And we went around the backside and came in the valley side, which is like a mile away. And the rain had stopped, and we walked up into the woods. And this is a totally different set of birds we're hunting. And I was like, we better let out a call before we go down to the field. I let out a call, and it was one of those deals where you like just dropped everything and just hit the deck because there was birds on top of us. And I was trying to set the video camera up and ended up tipping over, and I'm like, screw it. You know, I got a call and did 1 clock, and they were right in our laps, and we doubled up on longbeards. But the next morning I took my dad back to the up top in the fields, and I went to the other end where they had been going every day, and I got right in the center of the field on the edge of the woods, and they started gobbling, but it was a crap morning. It was like cold, windy. It was like shooting sleet and stuff. It was nasty. And this bird was gobbling, and it was to the north of us, or the south of us in the woods. And my dad was like, you should give him a call. I'm like, they've been here every morning. I'm not calling. And sure as shit, they freaking came out into the woods to the west of us, or out of the woods into the field to the west of us. And they came down the edge of the woods, and they stepped out at like 40 yards for him.
Nice.
And he piled one right there, and he was like, I can't believe it. He was like, you were right. And I'm like, well, I've been watching these things for 3 days now, do just about the same thing. So.
Well, and what a transition, too, because Dad is a pretty good turkey hunter, but he's kind of fallen off a little bit where he doesn't hunt as much as he used to and as hard as he used to. But he was, I mean, you and Dad were just like this when you were at the 12-year-old.
I think they did started the youth hunt when I was 13, so we did it 13, 14, 15. Yeah. I mean, we drove back from South Carolina for the last year of it. We were at his baseball stuff in South Carolina, and we drove through the night to get back, to get to camp. And we got there and made it up on the hill and killed one by 7:30 in the morning.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Makes it all worth it.
It does. It's pretty cool, though, for you to take Dad out and get him a bird. And, you know, you were calling the shots. Like, that's full circle, you know.
He's like, I think we should call. I'm like, we shouldn't do anything. I'm like, we're just going to wait. And they sure as shit came out just like they did the last 2 days. So he was like, you all right?
That's one of the coolest days of my life was, so I started turkey hunting with that guy from the DC when I was 12. And it took me until I was 24. No. Yeah, I was 24. I finally called it. That was the first time we killed a turkey together.
Really?
And I called it in for him.
That's awesome.
So I had killed my first turkey when I was like a freshman in college, actually. I had missed a couple. We had a lot of great, experiences, but it was a learning curve. And finally, hunting with my first college roommate, he got one in front of me, a Jake, and I got it. And that was like once I got that out of the way, then I was like, all right, there was like a stigma with killing a turkey for a while. Like I just couldn't make it happen. Mm-hmm. And finally, once I did it, it was like flipping a light switch, and things changed drastically. Yeah. And one day we always hunted up here, the guy that taught me how to hunt, and one day I convinced him to come down to the Catskills, the area where I hunt down there. And he was a little skeptical about making such a long drive to chase turkeys, but the first morning we had like 12 different gobblers that you could hear from one spot, and he was kind of excited about that. And I don't think it was the first day, I think it was the second day that we hunted, and I was able to call this one in, and he got it, and it was like there was nothing better. And and still like calling him in for my dad. My dad, first bird he ever killed was a longbeard down there, and after that it was just a series of jakes, and scheduling sometimes didn't work out great, so some years he didn't hunt a whole lot. And finally, like the last couple years, he was like, I need to kill another longbeard. It's time. And so I said, all right, you need to come with me opening day, and we're gonna go down to the Catskills, and we did, and he finally got another one. We got it filmed on. I put a Tacticam on his barrel.
Nice.
It was awesome. It was like such a relief.
And that's your dad you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that state land you're hunting down there? Is it camp?
A mix. It's. I don't have a camp. I went to school. My last year of school was down at SUNY Cobleskill, and I acquired a bunch of hunting land throughout the years down there, and so I still go down there. I'm starting to diversify and move around the state a little more. There's a lot more birds around the Rochester area than there ever was. So
there's a lot
so
of
I've been
birds up
hunting around
north
here.
too. I mean, a lot of people don't think of going up to the North Country to hunt birds, but there's a lot of birds up there.
Sure. Yep.
And they took a hit probably 6 years ago. We had a super cold winter, and we just never had a thaw.
Yeah.
And I mean, they were just getting dumped down with snow up there, and they had like 5 foot of powder, like no base.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like days and days and days of like 0 degrees, the high.
Yeah.
And
It's rough.
we had talked to loggers up there. My in-laws own property up there, and the logger said, he goes, I was walking around marking timber, and there was flocks of birds laying dead around trees.
Really?
And
Just
and
falling out of the trees.
Yeah, they just like because they'd get out and they'd fall in and they couldn't go anywhere, or they'd just stay in the tree because they couldn't get out and they'd freeze and starve to death and die, fall out of the tree and die. And I could tell probably for the last 3 to 4 years it was true, because it was impossible to find a bird around the area. And you'd find a couple of jakes here and there. I did get a nice long beard up there 2 years ago. Actually, I had a couple of nice long beards up there the last 2-3 years. But this past year, I was up there with Adam, and we were just calling in piles of jakes.
Well,
And
that's good.
I was like, I am
recruitment.
not shooting one of these jakes, because I'm like, we both already got long beards. I was like, this is the most birds I've seen up here in years. Yeah. I was like, I'm just going to let it go. So there was a couple of nice birds hanging around there, but we never got them to come in. It was always the jakes. So
There's always going to be, peaks and valleys in the
Right.
population. The peak of the population in New York was around like 2003.
Yeah.
And, with the way I look at it, the Turkey Federation was started to try to restore turkey populations. There was none.
When
Right,
when was the
73 is when
Okay.
the Turkey Federation was established. Was
and
a guy
is that in the
Fredericksburg.
Midwest ish?
No, it's Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Virginia. Okay.
Yep, and at least that's where the guy started. The headquarters is in Edgefield, South Carolina. It's kind of southeast of Atlanta,
Okay.
right near Augusta, actually. So they started, the Turkey Federation to try to restore turkey populations, and obviously they were pretty successful. They worked with state agencies, but one of the sole remaining populations of turkeys was in Allegheny State Park, and that population was used. They tried a bunch of different methods. They tried to do like, I don't know the exact method, but it's like have you ever heard of like a hack box for upland birds, where you put like chicks into a box and you feed them and you can release them and then they come back to the box. It's like a soft release, right? Mm-hmm. They tried to do that. They tried to farm raise them and then repopulate areas, and it just didn't work out. They found that trapping and transferring birds was an effective method, and they used the population in Allegheny State Park to essentially repopulate all of the eastern
No shit.
states, northeast.
That's incredible. I had no
I
idea.
think they even went as far out as the Midwest and like
That's
Minnesota.
crazy.
But once they started establishing populations, they took from other areas. But that was like the seed population that it started from. There was also a small population in like north central PA. But obviously there's turkeys all over the landscape now. And what I was getting at was I feel like when you're restocking something, you're gonna pass the I don't want to say carrying capacity, but you're gonna pass the threshold of a manageable level, right? So I feel like the population peaked, and it peaked around like 2003, and then it started to dip down. We're at like 50% of that population right now, so that's not good. Like we need to get that better, but I don't think that population at 2003 is a sustainable level.
Yeah, 'cause
maybe I'm wrong with that.
Well, that's
but
right around the time that I would have been doing some of my youth hunting.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, it was unfreaking believable.
Yeah,
You'd go
good old
scouting,
days.
and it was like 30 birds a field.
Yeah.
So what is? I mean, this is a perfect segue for what is NWTF doing to help with that issue that you're seeing right now? Like, what type of stuff is NWTF doing?
Well, obviously, we're working on habitat, right? So we've identified a few focal areas within New York. One of them being Allegheny State Park, or that area. That's where this all started. So it's important historically, and there is a lack of birds there. And then there's also a focal area in like the Hudson River Valley, and right now we have biologists hired on his staff that work in those areas, and their focus is like the Young Forest Initiative. Basically, what's happening is we have a lot of mature hardwoods, we have a lot of mature forests around New York, and so there's very little undergrowth, and so that leads to not having good places for turkeys to rear their broods or to nest. And it's not just turkeys; it's deer, it's pheasants, it's
Rabbits, right?
Songbirds. We even do some work with grants for like the yellow-winged warbler. It all impacts. They all impact each other, right? They all benefit equally. So those biologists are working with private landowners, helping to come up with management plans for their property. And the DC is also doing this Young Forest Initiative, where they're essentially sounds like a bad word to say clear cut, but they're essentially cutting like 10% of all their public properties. And with that, what they're considering early successional habitat is like 0 to 10 years. You get that good woody vegetation before it starts to transition back into a actual forest. So that's the important part.
So you're saying that there's some public land that they're doing that on.
Yeah.
So where
Most of them.
is that happening all around the
Statewide,
state?
Yeah.
Which that's freaking exciting to me.
Yeah,
Like
because normally it's like they're not going to touch it.
Yeah.
It's got to be left alone.
It's been happening for a while now, but they're doing 10%. So I'm pretty sure that when this was presented to us as a state board a number of years ago, that they're going to go through and do 10%. And then in 10 years, that won't be Young Forest anymore. So they'll go do another 10%.
Yep.
Obviously, that is all based on funding and availability. But they hired some foresters and some loggers to do that. And there's other things that the Turkey Federation has given funds for some habitat work in the Finger Lakes National Forest. We've done some access work with a property that's actually in New Jersey, but the access is through New York. Can't remember the name of that. There's there's some habitat work happening on the Burnt Butcher Forest. I think that's a national forest also in New York. Might have it backwards, but
Butcher Burnt,
something like
yeah,
that.
whatever.
But it's exciting that we have those two biologists that are working with private landowners, right? Traditionally, like if you go to the Crossroads limb hangers and say, hey, we want to get involved in a habitat project, can we do that? First of all, we need that. We need more of that, right? We want all of our chapters to be doing habitat projects as well as our outreach stuff with, to try to get new hunters. A lot of them don't, and it's a volunteer thing. Everybody's time is precious, so you can't force volunteers to do things. And there are some chapters around the state that definitely do habitat work. You're from Strikersville, like Carlton Hill is probably near you.
Yep.
There's been a lot of
WTF
work done on.
Has there?
They've put a lot of dollars into improving that property.
And that it's funny because I didn't find that area until last year, because I started with all this stuff. I started thinking about hunting more public land, and down by our camp in Naples, there's a lot of public land around. So I started snooping around there, and then I'm like, holy crap, I've got this Carlton Hill is like 30 minutes from my house.
Right.
So I just went over there, and it's like they got fields. They're planting corn. They've got this stuff. I'm like, wow. And then there's all this cooperative hunting land around it. Like, this is crazy. So that's pretty cool that NWTF is doing that.
For sure.
And I think what's important for people listening to this to understand is that, these, whether it be NWTF or QDMA or Pheasants Forever, all these different organizations, BHA I talk a lot about, but it's like these organizations are out there trying to help preserve what we have and make it better. And hunters are the ones doing that. Yep. You buy a hunting license, you buy a fishing license, there's a percentage of that that's going into helping support this stuff. And then going to, like, I want to talk a little bit about the banquets, but going to these events
and buying memberships. And
buying
all that
memberships,
stuff.
you know, what's a membership cost? If, let's say you don't want to go to an event, what does a membership cost?
$35
for a year.
For a regular old membership.
Yeah. And that's helping support all these initiatives you're talking about and putting people on staff like yourself. You need members to help support that. And it's just that little bit, $35.
I think all this stupid money I spend throughout the year. I mean, $35 on a membership
Right.
is nothing.
If you don't have the time and you don't have maybe the resources to go out and do some of the stuff, you don't own the property, but you love turkeys, you love turkey hunting, get a membership. You know,
if you love deer hunting,
if you love any
the
hunting.
habitat
It
work that we're
benefits
doing
it,
for
yeah.
turkeys is just
Oh,
as
absolutely.
beneficial to deer
Yeah.
or to grouse or what, you know,
Okay.
they all benefit. And that's the thing, like, yeah, this is the National Wild Turkey Federation. You guys are backcountry hunters and anglers. The guy down the road is QDMA. It's Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, Ducks Unlimited, Pheasants Forever, Quail, and there's always something, right?
Yeah.
The reason that I have become as passionate as I have about the NWTF is because we address all of it. It benefits everybody. It benefits turkeys, deer, trout, you name it. They all in some way benefit. It's not pigeonholed. Not that any of those other organizations are wrong. I belong to a bunch of them.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm as passionate as I am about Turkey Federation, because they're focused on the right things in my mind.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, there's other things that are important, and there's focus groups for that too. That's awesome. Like I said, I'm involved, but
yeah, and I said it on our podcast we posted this week. It doesn't matter whatever trips your trigger, whatever talks to you, buy a membership.
Yeah.
You know,
at a minimum,
whatever.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
you know, we live in New York, so it's like it's hard not to talk about politics. I hate politics with a passion,
Right. So
but I don't want to talk about them. But what I'll say is that all these organizations, they gain strength through member numbers.
Right.
You know, I don't want to go to Albany.
Right.
I don't want to go to Capitol Hill.
Yeah.
And get involved with that. That's why I want to be involved with these organizations. And when they go, the first thing they look at is membership numbers, right?
like, yeah, how many people are behind this guy?
Yeah. And I was actually talking about it right before you guys got here, about like how many turkey hunters are there in New York, right? And it's a little tough to figure that out, at least historically, because at one point turkey permits were considered part of the sportsman's license or whatever. Now that's all separate. But
Well, say you have a lifetime license, there's no way to tell.
well,
right?
you'd still have to get your turkey permit. Or does a turkey
No,
permit come with a
it's on
lifetime license?
yeah.
Oh, yeah. See, that makes it difficult to track.
So
But-
a lot of people have lifetime license. All those tags are included.
Yeah.
So
So estastimates, or at least for like the one I just looked at earlier today was from like 2017, 2018. There was between combining resident and non-resident licenses, there was somewhere in the realm of like 180,000 turkey permits sold in New York. Cool. There's only 4,500 to 5,000 members of the Turkey Federation in New York.
Jesus.
So that's like a
That's
little
crazy.
skewed, right? And it seems crazy, but there's so many people that don't know. I mean, daily I run into people that don't know what the Turkey Federation is, and they're
That's very
turkey
true.
hunters. They don't understand that all this money, and that's another awesome thing about the Turkey Federation, is that the money that we raise stays in New York. We're not. Obviously, there's it gets cycled through headquarters, and there's I'm a staff member, I get paid, so there's obviously that money comes from somewhere, but you have to pay some staff to put all this, to implement all this work, right? And my job is fundraising. There's biologists, and there's a lot of moving parts. After that, we keep it trimmed pretty lean, right? As far as the organization goes, nobody's flying around in private jets like some other nonprofit organizations. And the Turkey Federation has been super transparent. You can look up, and I think it's one of the best organizations for that reason also. But the money that we raise, once it goes through the process, it ends up in a pot for New York. So all these local chapters, they can request money from our super fund to do habitat work, to hold a Jake's event, whatever it may be. That money's here, and it's easy for me to stand up in front of a banquet and all these people that have showed up and spent money, and there's, they're spending a lot of their hard-earned money to win guns and get
or not
prizes,
win guns. I
or
mean,
not
hey,
win guns, but you're doing it for the cause, right? And it's easy to sell that cause from my standpoint, because that money is going to places where you can see it in your community, and that that you can't say that for a lot of the other ones. Again,
but back to your point, like until we started going to this banquet, I mean, I saw NWTF, but never like searched it out. I never joined it. Like, me joining as a member started when we started coming to the banquets.
Yeah, 100%.
And I mean, I was huge into turkey hunting.
Do you
before
remember
that.
why you came the first time?
I want to say it was Rick Milne.
Rick Milne, yeah.
It was Rick Milne.
I think he was like, "You guys really got to check this thing out.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a party." And we're like, "All right."
He was also involved with my journey to becoming a hunter.
Was he?
He hunts down at the Hockadells hunting camp,
Yep.
and I grew up around the corner from Hockadells, and that was some of my first hunting was with Bill and Ron.
No shit.
His
Nice.
son Ron.
I was wondering because I always knew that you and Rick were close, but I didn't know how that.
Yep. I didn't hunt down there a whole lot, but
That's
I was
cool.
down there enough to know who Rick was, Uncle Rick.
Yeah, Uncle Rick.
Rick.
Everybody
The
calls him
mayor.
Uncle Rick.
Yeah.
Mayor or Uncle Rick.
Yeah,
one or
he's
the
a
other.
great guy, and he's been super helpful with the chapter. He's a busy guy, but when he can,
He still cuts deer with us, and
Yeah.
He makes it when he can.
that's
he makes it more
The
times
first
than some of
year-
the
More
other people
times than
do,
I
so,
do.
Whatever.
the first year he called and he's like, "I need a table for the Bean Hill meat cutters." I was like, "What is the Bean Hill?"
Oh
meat cutters?
yeah.
Now we're like 2 tables. Like,
Yeah.
we need 2 tables for
Yeah,
that.
we're over 2 tables right
'Cause
now.
we
We
were-
have an issue.
We were into 2 tables last year,
Yeah.
Good.
almost fully into 2 tables.
So let's talk banquets because we're kind of starting to nose into that a little bit.
Before we do that, quick,
okay.
you were talking about the whole habitat thing.
Yeah.
If anybody wants information on how to get like involved with a habitat program or anything, like how do they go about that?
Again, you can go to the website and find your local chapter. Call me, and we'll point you in the right direction. Essentially, everything works through our local chapter system, right? So there's chapters all over the place. That if you're an NWTF member, but you're not associated, you don't go to a banquet. You're still associated to a banquet by default, just being within a zip code radius, right? But if you don't go to a banquet, you don't know anybody else, you just buy it because you get the magazine every year or you see it online, however you find it, and you contact me and you say, "Hey, I want to go, do some habitat work over here on, Quinn Oak openings." I'll say, "All right, great. You need to contact the Crossroads chapter or the Lake Plains chapter in Rochester. They're probably your 2 best bets." But there's a chapter in Farmington. There's one in Batavia. You can find somebody and approach them and say, "Hey, I want to get involved with you guys. I want to do a habitat project." That might be the spark or the kick in the pants that some of these guys need to do some habitat work. We have other ways to get into habitat. Like, we've bought implements like mowers and things for the DEC, and when we do that, when we have a few different pieces of equipment in place for habitat work, and when they use those, we require them to report back the acres that they've impacted with that, and that goes towards our acres impacted goal for the Save the Habitat, part of the mission.
Because I know, like last year, we brought my father-in-law, and he's coming again this year. But when I started talking to him about it, he was like, "Oh, I want to go to talk to somebody about habitat," because he's doing a ton of habitat improvement on his property, as well as we are at camp. But he was like, "I'm just wondering, like, what are the things you really want to be looking for, for turkey habitat?" Or
You can always request a biologist to come and meet with you. And
is that
help you
mostly what the chapter would do? Is kind of set you up with a biologist?
It depends. If he wanted to just want to know what to do on his property,
Yeah.
then the local chapter system isn't necessarily the best.
Right.
They might be really knowledgeable and
Right.
helpful, but they may not necessarily know the inner workings or
Right.
whatever. But they would put you in contact with one of our biologists.
Okay. So I guess that's more of the answer I was looking for. Is
Yeah.
like, what, if they come to you, how are you gonna send them off to?
They're gonna look at your property in general and help you formulate some sort of plan.
Yeah.
They work through the NRCS, National. Why am I drawing a blank?
And our
'Cause you're on a
natural
podcast.
resources.
Natural Resource Conservation Service. There's a lot of different options that I'm definitely not familiar with.
Right.
for doing work on private lands, and they understand that intimately and can help you. But the local chapters at a minimum can tell you about our seed subsidy program, and we have a few different. We have our seed subsidy, and then we have a conservation seed program for private landowners. You guys as members, any member can benefit from that.
Let's talk about, because you had that on the list, and that's something that what your dad sent out, I was like, holy shit, that's a good deal as far as what the seed is that's available.
Yeah, well, so what you saw from him was probably the conservation seed program. That's corn seed.
Yep.
So to give a little bit of background, companies that provide corn seed for farmers, sometimes they have overstock at the end of the growing season. Farmers that are doing this for a living aren't going to buy year-old seed because the germination rates decrease. Because it's Roundup ready corn, they would have to incinerate it all or pay to have it like destroyed for biohazard reasons because it's technically genetically modified, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just Roundup ready corn. Everybody's using it. You know, it's the staple now. So because they have that extra corn, they can donate it to organizations like the Turkey Federation, and then we turn around and distribute it to our members, and it's for free. There's a caveat to that, but the stipulations are that if you get this corn as a member, you have to leave it standing through the winter months, and you can't profit from it. So you couldn't cut a corn maze into it. You can't harvest it or pick it. You just have to leave it up for the wildlife, and then in the spring you can knock it down, replant it, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
It's awesome. If you were to go to the store and buy a bag, these bags, everybody asks how much they weigh. They vary because it's by seed count, actually, and some seeds are bigger than others and whatever. But essentially, they're like, if I told you a 50-pound bag of corn seed, what you're picturing in your mind, they're that big, right?
Yeah.
And they cover 2 to 3 acres, depending on how you plant it, if you're drilling it or whatever. If you were to go to the store and buy one of those, it'd cost you upwards $200 plus, $200 to $250 a bag.
So do you know people that are just regular old Toms like us that don't have a drill and don't have that are planting this stuff?
I know guys that broadcast spread it. And
really?
And then just roll it.
And whatever comes up, and
it works really well, actually.
Yeah,
surprisingly.
So I just missed the planning, huh?
But we were talking about this. So
this corn seed, we get it for free essentially, but we do have to distribute it, right? So there's a handling fee involved. It's $25. The state chapter in New York subsidizes it. They pay a certain part of the handling fee, and we've been keeping it for a few years. Can't guarantee year to year, but for the last few years, including this year, it was $25 a bag. Which if you went to the store and bought that for $250 a bag,
so that's just corn you're talking?
Yeah, it's just corn. So that's in that program. Like we just submitted our request to headquarters for all the bags for New York State right now.
Is it too late to?
A little bit.
Well, another thing you can do is
it is too late to, because I was thinking about it and I didn't.
With your local
farmer, it's too late.
It is.
With your local farmers, I know like some of your smaller operations, they'll get it by bag, and they'll get what's called short corn and long corn.
Yep.
And if they can't get it in time, they got all this corn they can't do nothing with. So like last year, I picked up 4 bags from one of the guys that I hunt his property. He just texted me out of the blue and was like, "You want corn?" I'm like, "Sure."
It's a good
so
deal.
he said if you keep it in a dry place, it'll last a couple of years. We didn't have time to get it in last year, but
so all the corn that we distribute, it's year-old corn, and I've never talked to anybody that has done the proper prep work and made sure their soil's good. Nobody's ever they don't even notice the germination rate being
so you
decreased.
guys probably already went over this, but like, do you till it first, or just like does the ground have to be tilled, or they kind of just?
It depends on how you're planting it. I'm not well.
Obviously, there's no till, but
I would think that you could probably use like our
rototiller
behind
it and then just.
It depends on your soil,
Our soil's shit because it never,
yeah.
whatever the frick we plant never comes up the way it's supposed to. So, but.
Yeah, it just depends. Obviously you'd have to till it up. You'd have to loosen the soil. You have to get the seed in there somehow.
Right.
But
I would probably plant one I just stick my finger in the ground and put one in.
However you want to get it
That's
done,
how I do it. My finger would be real. I'd have to use every finger.
Yeah. You use your nose if you had to.
Fuck you, Jimmy.
I thought we were going to be past all that after the last
No.
episode. I
No,
listened to.
shit, no, that'll never end.
You gotta hit it at least once an episode.
Yeah.
But so that's our corn seed program, right? It's I wish I could tell you how many bags we get statewide. It's in the probably 750 bags range.
Wow.
Aside from that, we have a seed subsidy program where, again, through headquarters, we have a partnership with, right now it's with Biologic, and or it's with Mossy Oak, actually. Maybe that's the same company.
I think they own
it's
them.
the same.
Yeah.
So we offer a subsidy program where there's 3 different types of seed, and you can go online as a member, click on the seed subsidy button on the website, put your name in. If you don't know your membership number, you can put in your name and state, and it'll find you. And you put that in. Once it verifies that you're a current member, it'll bring you to the page where you can just click and order seed. This year we're offering, it's called Premium Perennial, that has some like a mixture of brassicas and some other things. There's a clover blend that's like red, white, and Ladino clovers. And then for the past couple of years, we've been offering Clearfield sunflowers, which deer love.
Really?
Is that right?
And turkeys, but they don't usually grow long enough to produce because
They just
deer
mow
mow
them down. No shit.
But
Might be
yeah,
something.
I never
That'd
thought
be
of-
good for some perimeter cover, Jim.
I never
Yeah,
thought of
some edge
sunflowers
cover.
as being
Yeah.
a food plot thing, but apparently they're
You could use it as a
very
food plot screen.
Screen.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So the way that works is the state chapter, through the money raised, we subsidize half the cost of those bags, and regular members are allowed to order 2 bags. Sponsor members are allowed to order 3 bags. And when the money's gone, the money's gone. Every year we've sold out or come very close to selling out at what we budgeted. And when they go through the budget for the super fund, every year they look back and see what we did the previous year and try to judge, do the best they can. And
Yeah, I mean, that's good. You don't want to be sitting on it. You don't want to overdo it.
well, yeah, I mean, there's plenty of money in the state to we could add more if we through things like this. If
Yeah,
we
if
get
you
more
right,
people
spread the
ordering
word
it,
and-
that we might run out this year, but we know there's a demand for it, so we would increase it. And it's something. It's important. Again, all those bags we assume get planted, and we count that towards our acres impacted. Also, nobody's going out and buying seed
Right.
to throw in their garage. Usually they're in.
Yeah. You have the intent to
well-intended.
plant it.
Yeah, obviously things happen.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's all going in the ground in New York, and that's the cool part of it.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, and there's some other programs out there, but it's a great way to get food plots going and just to help influence the habitat on your property on a private level. When we could do that kind of stuff for that corn that gets planted at Carlton Hill comes through that conservation seed program.
Nice.
And I'm sure if there's other food plot stuff there, it's where it comes from too.
That's pretty cool to know.
Yep.
So banquets.
Yeah.
So we're approaching banquet season.
If you're me, we're in it.
You're in it.
Yeah.
So when do they kick off? So in your region.
Right now.
Okay.
I had my first one 2 weeks ago down in Dunkirk.
Okay.
The weekend before that, the 11th, we had our state awards banquet in Syracuse. That's not so much a fundraiser. That's obviously what it is. It's an awards banquet for all our volunteers. We have a board meeting the next day. On Saturday before the awards dinner, we do what we've been traditionally calling a leadership day. And we're going to rename that because our intentions have always been to get all of our membership. You guys should be coming to that.
Was that where you had a guest speaker, a whitetail guy?
Yep.
Okay, I saw that, and I was interested. I just was busy that day.
It was
But
Lonnie Benoit
yeah,
from
heard
the
him.
famous Benoit family, the Big Woods Deer Trackers.
Yeah, so Tom Waldron had them on the podcast. That was
Did he?
awesome
Yeah,
podcast.
they're colorful characters
Yeah.
and awesome storytellers.
Yeah.
But so that day, we try to do things like that to get people that aren't. We realize now that we're calling it a leadership day, so you guys look at it and go, "Well, I'm not
Right.
leadership in a chapter. Why would I go to it?" We do have certain like seminars for teaching and getting our word to our local chapter committees, but there's we have a bunch of. This year we had a seminar on Food Plot 101. We had a thing doing like turkey feather artwork where they made wreaths with turkey feathers, and we had a guy talk about predator trapping. On top of doing some seminars specifically for committees on local chapter level. But we need to change that up a little bit. We tried 2 years ago. We did what we called our family fun day, where there was we shot clay targets. We had rifle shooting. There was a turkey calling seminar / class. We had arts and crafts for kids, and then we had a barbecue and a band and free beer afterwards, and nobody showed up.
No, really?
No way.
Yeah, it was everybody that worked. I think I shouldn't say nobody.
Sounded like a good time. I
We
was
had,
all
like,
into it.
Pertinier got to change that shit.
I was all into it.
Yeah. Well,
I heard family fun and shooting clays. I'm like, man, we could go through a box of clays and 400 rounds ammo in no time.
I think the biggest problem is getting the word out, but also we tried to do that in the middle of the summer, and it's vacations and sports and whatever.
I was going to touch on that a little bit. Like, where's all this stuff getting posted? Because being a member, I don't know if I've seen emails come through, or if there's unless I'm going and seeking out like a calendar on your website, or I don't know, where do you find that stuff?
So it's a work in progress. You can always find banquets. To everybody listening, you can go to nwtf.org. There's an events tab. Click on that. You can sort by state, and then you can sort by banquet, Jake's event, Women in the Outdoors, Wheelin' Sportsman. If I'm saying Jake's event, just to clarify, Jake's is an acronym for our youth program. Stands for Juniors Acquiring Knowledge, Ethics, and Sportsmanship.
I didn't know you had the whole acronym with it. I thought it was just funny.
Jakes for
just
kids.
a funny.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
We'll just calling them Jakes because they're youngins.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, essentially you are, but that's there is a
Put an
little bit
acronym with
behind that. But you can sort for all those different events, and obviously you could just leave them all. They when you click on the link, they're all selected already. So you're just going to get a chronological order of everything going on with NWTF in your state when you select New York or whatever state you're in. Mm-hmm. And
so unless you're searching it out, you're not going to see it, is the thing.
Not necessarily. So with my chapters, I go to these chapter meetings in the fall. I try to meet with everybody once before the holidays, and I bring them mailing labels of everybody associated with their chapter. A lot of them send out mailers. Some of them don't. We're starting to transition. We're getting more people to have social media accounts for their chapters.
Right.
That's where you're going to see it.
Yeah, which I've been
First and
getting
foremost.
blown up by that.
That's
So that's a good thing.
just this year you're seeing it now from
Right.
NWTF because there's a younger girl that joined the committee over the past year, and she's been very active. She's been helpful. If I wasn't in my position now, I would be doing more of that, but
Yeah.
it's good that she's helping my dad. My dad, he's on social media too, but
Right.
she's gung-ho about it and helping out a lot, and she's doing a great job of it.
Yeah, so see, getting to people through stuff like that, like it pops up, and it's like,
Yeah.
I think that popped up like right at the first of the year, and I was jacked up. I'm like, oh yeah, there's a banquet. Like,
Yeah.
but if it didn't pop up, like we know about the banquet, so we're searching it out. But otherwise, we wouldn't. We wouldn't see it.
To answer your question simply, you would learn about a banquet by getting a letter in the mail from your chapter, which I get that sometimes they're folded and taped and
Yeah.
it looks like junk mail, or you're going to get an email, or it's just going to be word of mouth. I have chapters that will not send a mailer out; it's just word of mouth, and I need to work with them to change that. But social media is going to be the way to go.
That'll
a lot of
definitely help
people
out.
would fill out their membership card, their ticket to the banquet, and they just put their name on there, and they don't put a phone number or an email address.
Yeah.
If we could just capture everybody's email address, then there's email blasts that go out, and you guys have probably been good about buying your tickets online to the banquet. That helps immensely.
You buy ours yet?
That's why I had a discussion with Dad last night because our numbers are we got too many people
Too many
for our
people?
table, yeah. So I'm trying to work it out.
We have
just keep
more.
buying.
We
You
have
don't
more than
to-
16.
Yeah.
So why not have 3 tables?
Well, we might have to
We're
look
doing the
into that.
8-gun table
Oh,
thing.
you're gonna do those? I gotcha.
Yeah, so we would have to have
So-
3 8-gun tables.
Doesn't sound like a bad problem to have.
No, it doesn't. Except for everybody already probably hates us. Because
Just save
we get
us
in
the
there.
first 2 tables up front.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Jesus.
Well, that's it's awesome having you guys right up front.
We
that,
love
too.
it. It's great.
Good entertainment for sure.
it is. It's fun.
But
Did you get the auctioneer to come back for this year or no?
it's gonna be a different auctioneer
Oh.
this year. Last year
That guy was a
one and
freaking
done.
riot.
He's been doing.
He's done it the last few years.
This will be the first time he hasn't done the Crossroads banquet.
Because he wasn't supposed to do it last year, but you guys convinced him to do it again.
Yeah, he actually approached me and he said, "I'll do one more for you," because he was kind of done when Marty was done. And
Yeah.
yeah, he's good. He's got some health
He is
issues.
he is a riot.
He was fun. The guy that we got coming this year, he's just as good.
All those
I feel
guys,
like any
all
auctioneers-
those guys got
yeah.
the personality.
I've lucked out. I have 2 auctioneers that do the majority of my banquets, and they're both awesome. Like,
Yeah.
they bailed me out. Like I showed up to a banquet and they were like, "No, we didn't get an auctioneer." And my biggest fear taking this job was that I was going to have to auctioneer a banquet.
Oh my God, I would be horrible.
I'm so nervous about it, but I've talked with some other people that started as a regional director about the same time I did, and they actually, this one guy, he had to do it for a banquet with 450
Oh
people.
my God.
And I was like, "How did it go?" And him telling
He's
the
like
story,
4 shots of Jack real quick.
him telling the story actually made me kind of want to do it. Like I was like, you know what, I can roll with the punches, I can talk on the microphone, I'd be okay. But 2 weeks ago in Dunkirk, it was raining. When I stepped out of my truck at 8:30 in the morning, I almost slid under my truck and across the street. It was
Jesus.
I needed like crampons to get to the front door of the venue.
It was frozen.
Everything was ice.
Oh.
And it was like that all day. And their doors opened at 5, and at like 2:30, the president called me, and he was like, "Hey, I just stopped home to change, and the auctioneer's daughter just called me. They got in a car accident." I was like, "Great." I know a couple of auctioneers in the area. I called them, and they're all busy. One guy was fixing up his sled to go snowmobile, and the other guy was busy doing something else. I was panicked. And then they got there. The president came back for like around 4 o'clock, and he goes, "Oh no, he's going to be here." They actually got
So you're sweating all in the
Yeah.
afternoon. Like, I'm going to have to freaking do this.
I was like
Nervous
nervously.
sweat.
I was nervous but excited at the same time. I wanted to see how it would go and just get it out of the way because that's
It's
the
gonna
first
happen.
one.
You should
Gonna
do
happen.
Limas this year.
Nope. No, you'll like the guy that I got for Lima.
Nice.
He's a good dude. But yeah, those dudes then they got rear-ended, and the guy that rear-ended him jumped out of the car with a duffel bag and just ran across the cornfield.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. No,
And they were like, "Hey, they'll just follow your tracks in the snow." And the guy just kept going and going. They ended up catching him. And
Oh my God, what a story.
Of course, I was like, "Well, what was in the bag?"
Was
We didn't stick
it
around
Bucky
long enough.
Phillips or what?
That's the neck of the woods.
Yeah.
But
was
so I
his
haven't had to
son.
do it yet. But craziness.
Yeah. So the banquets they're a great time, and the structure of them kind of explain how a banquet works.
All right. So obviously, these are the bread and butter for the Turkey Federation. It's where we get the majority of our money. All the banquets in my area are pretty much the same. There's going to be a live auction, a verbal auction with an auctioneer. There's going to be a silent auction. There's going to be raffles, bucket raffles, Chinese auction, whatever some people call it that. And then we have gun games. So there's going to be a bunch of guns in the room and different ways to win them. They're all raffles of some sort. We have like a game where you buy key tags. They're all numbered. We have our bingo board where it's basically like a Super Bowl pool, and we just draw a letter and a number, and you win a gun. This year, I've introduced a new thing where we put 100 mouth calls in a 5-gallon bucket. They're 5 different colors, and you pay it for a chance to reach in and pull one of those calls out. Depending on the color, that's how many tickets you get towards the gun that we're giving away on that.
Has anybody used the mouth calls?
Yeah, they're great. They're made by a guy named.
No, I meant before they're in the
Oh no,
bucket.
they're all brand
Previously
new.
used.
They're all brand new. They're all brand new.
Harold, throw that mouth call in that bucket there.
You done with that one? Yeah, it's laughing in there.
They're all actually they're good calls. Like
Yeah.
they're made by Mountain Hollow Game Calls up near Potsdam, Ken Hamill, and I'm actually working with Quaker Boy. I'm going to start getting some from them. Being Western New York, we got to be loyal to our own. So
I'd like to get them on the podcast. I was talking with, I don't know if it was you and me talking, or I was talking with somebody else about, because they're local Buffalo
down in
guys.
Springville.
Yeah. So it'd be fun to try to connect with them and do a podcast, learn a little bit about, been around for a long time,
They
kind of a
have been,
staple
for
in
sure.
the turkey hunting world. So
For sure. Yeah, I've the box calls that we use for our box call raffle, our gun of the year. We have 13 box calls that we auction off or raffle off in the room, and then one of those will win the gun of the year.
In the damn top 4 for that last year, I was getting nervous and started getting shakes. I'm like, I might actually win this thing.
Well, that's the fun part, that I think when you go to one of these events, it can be kind of intimidating if you've never been or if you don't have a group of 16 people that you're going to go with. But you can go, and let's say you want to go and it's a great event to take your spouse to. If you guys just want to go out and have a night out, or just a hunting buddy that wants to go, and you go to these, and it's very laid back. You got a bar, a cash bar, and you get a nice meal with your ticket. So it's $60 for just a regular ticket, or you could do a couples. There's a whole bunch of different options. I was in there looking last night.
You're better off going to the websites. There's a pile of them.
Yeah.
So every banquet's a little bit different.
Okay.
Ticket prices reflect their the meal that comes with your ticket a little bit. That being said, I'm working towards just getting flat rate tickets for the regular tickets. Our sponsor levels obviously are more. So you're talking about our traditional pricing structure in the past, and honestly, I'd have to look and see what we decided to do. I'm trying to get Crossroads to agree to do flat rate tickets. It was traditionally $60 for a single, $85 for a couple, $275 for a sponsor, $300 for a sponsor couple, and then we had this B package where you could pre-buy $100 worth of raffle tickets and get $300 worth. We're changing it up a little bit. You'll see that we're gonna have a regular ticket for $45. Sponsor ticket will be the same. Basically, we just took the couples ticket and divided it by 2. It made the single ticket cheaper, and it just makes the clerical side of things a little easier.
Yeah.
But important, going back to like memberships, our strength is in numbers, right? When the CEO of the Turkey Federation goes to Capitol Hill, they look at the Turkey Federation with how many members do you have. So everybody that comes to that banquet supports us. In the past, when you buy a couples ticket, you buy a couples ticket, you put your name on one, you put your wife's name on the other, you paperclip them together, and only your address and name is on one of those. And quite honestly, your wife comes with you. She's the one that's making the financial decision, right? 9 times out of 10. And
that's why we come without them.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: women are the fastest growing demographic in the hunting industry right now. And why would we not want to capture them and have them be members of our organization?
Yeah.
So last year, any couples ticket had a complimentary Women in the Outdoors membership with it. Now we're just doing flat rates. It's just a $45 ticket to get in, or a $50 ticket to get in, depending on which banquet you're going to. And, everybody's going to be a member now, and that's what we need.
Yeah.
And I think everybody will understand that.
Agreed.
You're still going to have our sponsor levels that, you're paying $250 for a sponsor membership. In turn, you're going to get more raffle tickets and a chance at a sponsor-only gun, which, they're 1 in 10 chance for, every 10 sponsors, we put another gun on the table. And
then this year you guys did that 8-person table, gun table.
Yep. And there's a lot of different, things for other chapters, but this chapter is doing a gun table where it has 8 tickets associated with it, and
$100.
Somebody at that table is going to win a gun. And the idea is that you get 8 friends, you all pay $100.
Right.
You're going to get $100.
I mean,
worth of raffle
you're getting your
tickets.
membership and your meal anyways. You're going to get some extra raffle tickets, and you all have a chance to win a gun between the 80.
Yep.
Somebody's going home with a gun.
Yeah.
And then you
It's a great
upgrade
deal.
to a sponsor membership for like $215, and you're going to get $600 worth of raffle tickets. You're going to get a chance at that sponsor gun that's 1 in 10. So you can make the odds pretty good.
It's a good time.
Yeah, so as far as understanding all of that, the best thing to do if you're listening to this is go to nwtf.org, search the banquets for your area, and you can check out, you can actually buy your tickets online. It's probably the easiest way to do it.
Yep.
But going into that, my first ever banquet I went to, and then you walk in and like, okay, here's your package, and you got I'm like full of freaking tickets. I'm like, oh my God.
And then you walk into the room and you're like, oh my God, all these guns, all these games, what am I doing?
There's like $5 here. But I say that, and Jimmy and I joke about how we go there and we spend a bunch of money, but you don't have to. If you just want to go and you're just looking to have a good time, take $40 and you can go, go there, get your dinner, and pick and choose where you go with your money. And our group has done incredible over the last few years. I mean, if you're looking for an opportunity to go to a gun raffle, and have a good chance to win a gun,
Yeah.
like this is it. Like I won a Kimber 1911. That was that gun you guys did there a few years ago, and I would never spend money on a gun like that. And
Well,
for
some of
$100,
these guns are really neat too, because they got the National Wildlife Turkey Federation engraving on them, and kind of customized. Something you're not going to go to the store and buy. So
there's always going to be those.
Yeah.
It's, you're going to be in the Crossroads banquet. You're going to be in that room with 160 people, and there might be, I don't know, ballpark. There's going to be 16 to 20 guns in the room. The odds are pretty decent.
Yeah. And you got to be there to win. This is not like
for the most part.
For the games
they
ones,
pre-sell. They pre-sell a raffle ticket for one gun. So if you can't come, you can.
Oh, that's
buy
right.
those.
So like they
We
sell
bought a
just
bunch of
100
those tickets
tickets.
already.
side
Yeah, we
note,
bought 87 of the tickets. So
the Harveys have been confusing my dad to
Oh, I know.
who is who.
Yeah.
He sold
Oh,
calendars
yeah.
to the
And that-
wrong people,
And then I wanted to get extra gun tickets for the pre-sale, and they were for my father-in-law, but he thought they were for me. And then I had a typo that made it look like I was trying to buy them for Dad, and then the wrong last name.
right before Christmas, your dad sent something out. He's like, I got 2 calendars left, and I immediately messaged him back. I'm like, I'll take one because it's a great Christmas present.
Yeah. Well, you dick. I'm freaking standing in Mom and Dad's house, and Dad's like, "Oh, Billy," he's on the phone with you. I think, "Oh, one of these calendars is for me. That's great." And I'm like, "I got one sitting at home for you, waiting for you for Christmas. Now you got 2 calendars."
And that's probably why your dad was all confused because
I'm like, Jesus
Dad's name was
Christ.
already on
Bill,
one.
Billy, Jim, he's
Jim
like,
Riley,
I don't know
Jim
who
Riley, Billy.
Bill called me like 10 times. I'll be honest with you, Dad. I don't know.
I don't know.
Billy's the young one. And,
That's freaking funny, man.
But I
That's
want
good times.
that was one thing we never touched on is the calendar you guys put out every year. You guys put out a calendar every year, and it's a gun every Wednesday.
Yep.
Based off of the New York Lottery numbers, is it?
Yeah, there's 1,000 calendars, 000 through 999, and it goes off the Wednesday evening numbers.
Yeah.
And if you have a calendar, it has a number on the back, and every Wednesday there's a gun on the calendar.
So I think
You
it was
win
like
that gun.
March last year. You called me. I want a handgun.
Yeah.
So
For $50
Yeah.
calendar. Like
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like these little things you do, and you guys don't send out a ton of marketing, but Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, they have got me by the freaking. Oh my god!
You got the
By
knife
the
coming
stones.
I
already.
can get a knife. You're telling me I can get a knife for $50?
And if you hurry up, you're going to get in on whatever they just
You
have,
got
the
it.
bears
Yeah.
and bows
If you're
and
the
all
one
that
in the 10 people, and you're like, oh, I would have done it.
Mine went back immediately.
Yeah, bastard! You probably
My
beat me
dad
to
called
it.
me yesterday. I told you I drove to Boston yesterday, back and forth, ridiculous amount of time in the
Jesus.
truck. Yeah, and my dad, I just looked it up. My dad called me 16 times yesterday, and it's all about the banquet, and that's how dedicated he is. He's like, he wants to ask me my opinion, and he has other questions, but one of the ones was, it's like, hey, his girlfriend Sue that he lives with, he's like, Sue was filling out something last night about some knives from the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. So in years past, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, QDMA, Canada Agua Lake Duck Hunters, and the Crossroads Limb Hangers have in some form overlapped their banquets, and it's been tough to get people to come to one or the other because they have to decide. And so my dad actually put a lot of legwork in this year calling all those guys, and they managed to spread them out over different weekends. So I can't, as a regional director, I literally have, you were asking about banquets. I had one 2 weeks ago. I have one on Saturday. The next one is this coming Friday, or the following Friday. And then it's like I go to Nashville for our convention for a week, the week of Valentine's Day. Then I come back and have another banquet. It's from now until turkey season, I have banquets every single weekend. So I can't personally go to all those, but like my dad can go to one, and then I'll buy a ticket and tell him to bring somebody else to go to the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But because they're all important,
They are.
I like being involved with all of them. But that's for me, for banquets. It's that trailer in the driveway is loaded with banquet gear, and I hook up to that thing on Saturday morning, and it doesn't come off the truck, pretty much. I mean, I will, but it's like, it's banquet after banquet after banquet. And then, when May gets here, I actually have one on May 2nd in Springville. Once that's done, then I have a little bit of breathing room. But in the midst of all that is ordering stuff for next year. And I'm always, this year I got a few new things coming down the pipe. I got a golf tournament that's coming up. And
Where's that going to be?
It's going to be on the west side of Rochester.
It's my side of Rochester.
We're toying with a couple different venues. Right
I think
now.
Pertner Outdoors would like to have a foursome in that.
Well, you're more than
Depending on
welcome.
which golf course it's at, we might not be invited.
We have been asked. Donnie
Oh, my God.
Donnie got me for Christmas. He got me golf balls with the Pertner logo on
No
it.
way.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and he's like, dude, thought about it. He goes, this is perfect marketing for you because you can't keep a ball on the
Yeah,
fairway.
so they'll be all over the
So
golf
people are
course.
going to be out there trying to find a ball in the woods.
Oh,
You're like,
Pertner
holy
Outdoors,
shit,
what's that?
Pertner Outdoors.
That's like every
That's a
time
really
I
good-
go golf. I got to use the fluorescent orange balls
Yeah.
because otherwise there's zero chance. I don't golf. My family all golfs, and I've been roped into it a few times. Yeah, it's always been entertaining. But it's,
We did one last year in Geneseo, and we weren't golfing very hard by the end of it, but we were coming up one of the last fairways, and me and Billy got this golf cart, and we're just joking, like we're not smashing it or anything, but like we're there's some of the oak trees out there are just like 4 people around, huge, and we're just like butt up to the oak tree, and we're like
Yeah, I
going
got
back
my-
and forth. I think I was actually doing like a story on Pertner Outdoors about like knocking acorns out of the trees. This freaking guy comes down through and just loses his shit on us. He's like, these are brand new.
It was the
freaking
Ranger.
golf
They
carts."
literally got these golf carts the day before, brand new electric.
And from a ways out, it probably looked like
Oh,
we
it
were
looked-
slamming
probably
into the
looked
tree.
bad.
I mean, we didn't do nothing to hurt it, but he was freaking out.
He's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I got out of the golf cart and I started walking away. Like, oh, that makes sense, you know? Yeah. So, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know.
And then when we got back, there was an actress next to our name and nobody else's. We were like, oh, God.
So I went to the car. I changed my clothes. I was all panicking and freaking out. So, but no, we wouldn't do that at your event.
No, we've never.
of course you would.
No.
Look, I'm just as guilty. I won't name names to protect the innocent, but I've definitely driven a golf cart down a main highway with somebody doing the Superman on the roof.
Okay.
I haven't golfed very often,
No.
but the times that I've done,
when I
I've
do-
made sure it's entertaining for me. But
Oh,
yeah, there's
shit.
so
I think that's a great idea, though.
yeah, it's
golf-
it's a done deal. I have a
golf
committee that's willing to put it on. One of the guys is on the board for a golf course, but scheduling wise, they're just trying to work out. But it's going to be like we're going to have all those gun games in between the holes. We're going to
Oh,
have
wow.
silent auction.
No, that's a fantastic
I really
idea.
hope I can make it to this
It'll be
thing.
fun for sure, and we'll do a little silent auction along with the dinner. But I don't think we'll do a live auction. But
Nice.
we'll have some turkey themed games and
That's a
different
great
things.
idea. I
It
mean,
is a great idea.
middle of the summer, go out there and do something fun.
Yep, and there's a few other things. I'm trying to put together like a beer tasting or wine tasting type of event that has fundraising involved with it. Rochester has one of the highest per capita, the highest amount of breweries per capita than in any city. So, I want to try to capitalize on that fact and get
Yeah.
a bunch of breweries involved and do kind of like I don't know. So, there's a guy out in Montana that does turkeys and tastings, and they have all the tastings going on, and they have a silent auction and a live auction, and just something different, something
Right.
to, there's people that have been going to these banquets. You guys have been going for a few years, but there's guys that have been doing it for 25 years. They're burned out. I got to find
Something new.
new ways, and I got to find ways to get younger people involved.
Right.
We're lucky to have your group with a bunch of guys our age doing this. That's a tough demographic, and I need volunteers that age too. All my volunteers are kind of aging out, and the people that I'm looking for are mid 20s to mid 30s. But that's tough, and you guys know.
Yeah.
Newly married.
I have a
new
horrible time
house,
committing
new
to
job.
anything.
Yeah,
Just because it's like, when do I have time?
yeah.
But
Nobody has time, and that's the thing. Nobody has time, right? We can all be as busy as too busy. But I feel like if we can get more people, the more people you have on a committee, the less work you have to do, the less time you have to invest, and to put these banquets on, depending on how involved you want to get, it doesn't take a whole lot to do a decent job. You guys have been to one that is on the upper end of as far as like the committee involvement, and a lot of that is just my dad. Even before I was staff, like he did a lot, and he still does, and he's doing more every year, and it's like there's some chapters like that, and then there's some that just have a pretty standard good fundraiser. They're all good, but I need to try to find some people to help me think outside the box and do new things. And, things like I'd like to do like a sporting clays. Like you guys are talking about golfing.
Yeah.
I'm not a golfer, but anytime I've shot sporting clays, it felt very much like golf, right? It's all individual holes.
Yeah.
Like, why can't we have a sporting clays tournament
Go to
that
Rochester
mimics,
Yeah.
that mimics a golf tournament, right?
Yeah.
We could have hole sponsors, we could have station sponsors, we could do all the same type of thing, and that's one of the things I'm working towards this year. I want to find a way to make it more fun.
Yeah.
I know you guys have been involved a little bit with like 3D archery, or at least you've gone and participated
Yeah, they're
a few
blast.
times. I used to help my buddy Tom out at Traditions Archery up in Henrietta. We always did 3D winter leagues, and I was involved with all that at the time. And then now that that's gone, I kind of miss that a little bit. I got my girlfriend into archery, and she likes it. She's been in nursing school for the past 2 years, essentially just finished, and now it's like life is starting to come around where we can go do fun things like that. And why couldn't I do a 3D archery tournament as an
Right.
event too?
Yeah.
That's all that stuff is possible.
Yeah.
But it's
A lot of work.
you got to do it. I got to find people to help do it, and I don't want to burn out my hometown. I got a big area to cover, so it'll all work out. The chapter in Wyoming County is that's a new, highly motivated group of guys, and I think they're going to do big things too. The last year was their first banquet.
So that was the one that was at Java
Yep.
Fire Hall.
Yep.
Okay.
That was kind of like a last minute thrown together. The committee that was in Wyoming County, they used to hold their banquet at the Alexander Fire Hall, which technically isn't in Wyoming County, but they just didn't want to do it anymore, and so I reached out and I had some help finding a guy that was willing to take it on, and it was just a couple guys. There was 3 guys essentially that got it going last year, but they've built their committee over the past year, and things are looking up. So there's maybe they'll do something down that way. There's I'm hoping to get cool things happening all around. I'm still in my first, I just finished my first year of this job, and it was like drinking from a fire hose, right? It nonstop. Like, I'd been doing my banquets for so long. I felt like this is gonna
It's cake.
I knew going into it what I was getting into, trust me. But my boss tried to talk me out of taking the job, kind of thing. Like, understand that you don't realize how much this is gonna be, and he was right to a certain degree. But I was prepared, but I'm still like they tell me now, like, I'm through that first year, but they're saying it's going to take you like 3 years before you're comfortable. And so I'm doing as much as I can, the best I can right now. And I have all these grand ideas, but at the same time, I need to try to save some of these committees that are starting to peter out. And, at the same time, I need to be there to help chapters like my dad's chapter that are doing great. They need a little extra support because they're doing more stuff, right? So I'm trying to find the balance, and it's just balls out all the time right now, and it's cool. I'm enjoying it, but
and I think last thing on this, and then we'll kind of start wrapping it up. But working together with the other groups too, and that's one of the things. So I'm doing an events coordinator role with BHA for Region 9.
Good for you.
But one of the things that we've been talking about on the conference calls, we're doing a monthly call right now, is getting involved with other conservation groups to try to grow it together, because BHA is so young.
Yeah.
A lot of people have no idea what the hell it is and what it even stands for, and sometimes it's hard in front of a group of people to explain what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Last year we were at the Western New York Outdoor Show, and people thought we were an outfitter.
Yeah.
We're like, we like the outdoors, and we want to preserve it, and trying to explain it to them, and they're just like not grasping it. So where I was going with that is that I think, like, you're doing a ton, like everything you've just said in the last half an hour, like, you are just wide open, and that's great. And let's join forces with some of these other things if you want to help spread the word and to get new people in front of your organization and new people from your organization in front of our organization, and then everybody grows together.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. Like, this podcast might touch people that your Facebook page doesn't, and next thing you know, it's just like it's swelling interest of people getting involved and stuff like that. So
absolutely, that's one of the themes at our national convention last year, and a theme for the entire year through our initiative was partnering for conservation. And it's exactly that. It's, we talked about all the different organizations earlier. Like, we all need to be working together.
Right.
And
if everybody just says, "Oh, well, this is our little thing," that's not going to work.
And that's you guys are young. You don't have a lot of people involved. You do have a good group, but you don't have a lot by
BHA
comparison.
that is.
Yeah. So, maybe you pair up with an NWTF chapter and help them do an outreach event or whatever it is, habitat project.
Yep.
That's the more people, the less work everybody has to do, and it makes it a lot more feasible.
Yep.
When you just everything works easier when everybody just gets together, when everybody gets along, right?
100%.
So it's that's definitely
and it's not
a
like
good
a type
take
of
home.
business where somebody's gonna be taking money away from somebody else. I mean, it's all going towards the same stuff.
We're all working for the same
not
reason.
a competition. It's let's all do this for the same reason and get people involved and
Whether you
share our
want to
love for
shoot
the
an elk
outdoors.
or a squirrel, we're
Right.
all doing the same thing,
Yep.
So
what I want to know, and what I want to wrap this this podcast up with, is I understand there's a good story behind one of the turkeys on the wall behind us.
oh boy, shit.
literally.
Yeah. So I don't remember if I said it when we were recording, but when I lived in Virginia, I used to drive every weekend back to New York turkey hunting. And one of those weekends, I was hunting with my college roommate. He was with me when I got my first bird. He definitely taught me how to kill turkeys. Right, like that was a game changer. And so one year, I was driving up for a weekend of hunting with him. It was late night. I would leave work in such a hurry. I would have to take a leak when I left work in Virginia, and I wouldn't take a leak until I got to New York.
Come on.
I'm not even joking.
I couldn't do that.
Were you drinking along the ways or
No,
just?
just go. 6 hours.
That's impressive.
I mean, I could hold.
I'd
it
have
that
to
long
stop
if
and
I
get
wasn't
gas.
drinking.
I'd have to stop and get gas around the New York border and around Binghamton area, and I would stop, take a leak, and I would get some food. And so this particular weekend, I got a cold cut sandwich or a sub or something from a gas station, which was the last time. I wish I could probably tell you the year, but yeah. Got a little food poisoning from that. I woke up in the middle of the night. We wake up 3:30 in the morning to go turkey hunting, and I woke up at like 2:30 and ran to the bathroom having problems. And
what kind of problems? No, I'm just kidding.
They persisted throughout the morning. I called this gobbler. Well, my buddy called this gobbler up for me. Came all the way from the bottom of this hollow, all the way up the side of the mountain, and I shot him. And then when I jumped up to get him from rolling down the hill, all the pressure was off. Let's say that, And so things got a little messy. And at the same time, it was a very nice bird. I thought, I think I want to get this thing mounted. I wanted to bring it home to Rochester. It was Mother's Day weekend, so I was coming home to see my mom for Mother's Day. And so I drove from where I was to a friend's house to make a pit stop, spent some time in his bathroom there, and then drove to another friend's house, made a pit stop, spent some time in the bathroom there. I hopscotched my way over a 3-hour drive back to Rochester from where I was hunting, and delivered that bird to my dad's freezer, and then he took it to the taxidermist, and I drove home the next day back to Virginia after hanging out with Mom on Mother's Day. And so they came into my living room here and saw this turkey that's gobbling on a limb on my wall, and I told them that story right off the bat. I'm definitely regretting that right now.
No,
it's not a giant bird by any means. I just hadn't had a turkey mounted yet, and I wanted to put one on the wall, and so that was a good representative. It had a good story behind it. I don't tell that story too often, but
now that is one of the best looking turkey mounts I've ever seen. Like, just the detail, it's gorgeous.
We'll have to take a
that
picture and throw it
taxidermist
up. People
yeah,
see.
we will. So the only thing that would make that mount better is if your shit-stained whitey tighties were hanging from that limb.
See,
Maybe not the
you
actual
young
shit
rookies.
stain.
Nobody wears white underwear.
Yeah, no. I
Oh, you don't?
Wear black
You do?
underwear.
No, I don't.
Why would you
Yeah,
wear white
I
underwear?
don't. I don't.
No.
I'm just kidding. That's I have a mental list of things that I want to talk to you guys about because when I heard you guys had a podcast, I was in from day one. I am a habitual consumer of podcasts.
Well, you drive a lot too, so I mean that's
Driving, even sitting at my computer during the day, all the podcasts you guys listen to, right? I mean, we could.
Yeah.
Sounds like we could recite the same.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Meat Eater podcasts and all of the Meat Eater conglomerate, you know. And I was pumped. I've been wishing I had a way to start a podcast, right? And then I was like, damn it, those local guys started a podcast. There's nothing wrong with it, but I was pumped to listen to some local guys talk. I didn't really know you guys. I know you a lot better now just from listening, you know. And I'm pumped that you guys, you know, got a hold of me, and you know, I'm sure we can do more in the
We're
future.
gonna do
definitely.
more. Yeah.
But
That's the thing, and I said this the other day, sitting down. I sat down with my uncle Chris and his buddy Brian to talk about recap their elk hunt. I did that Monday night, and it's just like I love this doing this podcast for nothing else, and it gets us sitting in your living room talking about stuff we'd want to talk about anyway, and then everybody else is enjoying that same conversation, you know. So we are all listening to the same podcast, but I just felt like there was a void of stuff that's just local to us. Yeah. And there's a kid in Pennsylvania, Bo Martonic. He has, I don't know if you ever heard his.
I heard you mention him
Meets
on
West.
your last podcast.
And I love his because I can relate so well to it. It's hunting in the hills. It's hunting in big woods. Like I can relate to that.
he does a trip out west.
Yeah.
You know.
It's very similar to what I'm doing. So I love, like, of all the podcasts, I always gravitate, what's Bo talking about? Because I can put that to work here.
Yeah.
Whereas, so now what Jimmy and I and my buddy Danny are doing, we just want to share what is going on in our area.
I mean, there's been a really good variety of stuff too. I mean, from your hunts out west to all deer season to tracking deer, like just, you know, and then, you know, you've been interviewing some interesting people and different groups from around the area, and we talked to you, and I also talked to a guy from the New York State Outdoor News the other day. We want to do one with him. So
nice. Yeah, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
If you're willing to have a conversation, there's, you know, you'll never run out of stuff to talk about. And you guys have a decent sized group too, so it's cool. I'm glad that, you know, both of you guys came today. It's you know, we could have lit a bonfire in the fire pit outside today. Actually, the weather's so nice, but yeah, I mean it's just getting dark. We got s'mores and stuff. We could
s'mores,
do.
huh?
What are you cooking for dinner?
Plenty of Jenny's.
Yeah,
you know,
there
I have to take the work van
but
home, come
you know,
back.
the point is, like, you know, you guys could get your group together and talk about, you know, whatever it is, but then you can branch out and talk to people like me and you know, this guy in PA. There, you know, there's just
Did you listen to all of ours right through hunting season and stuff?
most of them. I'm sure I missed a couple of the
Breeding them radios?
the breeding them radios. I was gonna say the rut report.
How'd you like those?
I
mean,
was curious who did that voice and then you let it go on one of the
Radio.
No, I like them, man.
I thought it was
been
cool
cool to
'cause-
see the progression too. You know, you guys have progressed rapidly. You know, we don't have to talk about it, you know, while recording, but I'm curious to hear about your analytics if you're paying attention. But
It's
I
picked
bet
up.
it's
picked up dramatically since the first of the year.
I bet.
And I was a little bit frustrated during the holidays, but now looking back at it, it's like no wonder. It's like I didn't personally have time to listen to podcasts.
Sure.
So
Yeah,
like just
definitely.
reflecting on that. So we kind of dropped off a little bit during the holidays,
Yep.
but then we've had some good episodes here. I feel like we've had some good,
Yeah, and you're
interesting guests on,
Yeah, you're getting different groups on,
and it's ramped up pretty good here.
so
to
then
start,
their people start listening to you, and then just start snowballing.
Yeah, you'll see, like, you've seen it, I'm sure, with like the comedians out in California that are big on podcasting, how they work off of each other, you know, and you know, you guys haven't, like, you just had Jesse Coots on, you know, he's got a podcast now. Everybody has a different circle of friends and a different following, and it's just gonna keep building. You know, you've been on Todd's East to West hunting. I did one with him a while ago too. He's a good podcaster, but
you were on his?
Yeah, I did one maybe 2 years ago. Like,
Okay.
After we met at that legislative breakfast, I was there representing the Turkey Federation, and he was there for PHA, and we got talking. So I covered a lot of the same stuff with him. Might have been a little more structured, but I like this format. I like
Yeah.
being able to go off on tangents.
That's
Well,
what's
it was funny when we started this. My dad was like, "We got to have this all laid out," and me and Billy are like, "We just want to shoot the shit."
Well,
like,
you can do it. I mean,
whatever.
it's good
Yeah.
to have a focus, and
Right.
you can go off on tangents and come back and still
Right.
cover the bases. It's important too. I can listen to podcasts, and if they get lost, I get lost too sometimes. I just stop listening. I'll change it
Yeah.
up. But yeah, you guys have all been pretty good. So
I appreciate that, and I'm not going to edit this out because it makes me feel good.
you shouldn't.
Yeah.
You do what you got to do with it.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap this up because I'm getting where the hell you at messages, and
Yeah,
I got an hour
for
drive.
sure.
So
Well, thank you very much for coming on, and we look forward to seeing you
Well,
at the banquet.
hey, thank you guys for thinking of me and for
Yeah.
coming here. And for everybody listening, if, at a minimum, take somebody new hunting this year. If not hunting, take them out fishing this year. But if you're a member of the Turkey Federation, do your part to report that so we see how much we're growing. And if you're not part of the Turkey
Yeah, I was just
Federation,
going to say that.
you should consider getting a membership at a minimum, or going to one of these banquets. And that's not financially possible for everybody. So you should at least try to benefit from what we're doing and hit up one of our outreach events or see how you can help out with habitat work. There's a million different avenues, and like I said, the more people that we have helping, the less work it is for everybody. So
absolutely,
I appreciate you letting me get the word out a little bit.
that's what it's all about.
We'll do more in the future.
So where can people find you on you personally? You're on Facebook
My
and Instagram.
personal Facebook page, Brian Gottfried. The New York NWTF has a Facebook page and an Instagram page, and you can look that up with NY or NWTF NY. The local chapters are getting better about having social media. You guys, we're local here. You're talking about Crossroads Limb Hangers. They have a Facebook page, Instagram page also. The Lake Plains chapter in Rochester has a Facebook page. Genesee chapter in Batavia, they do also. So you just need to look around. The main hub, I can say, is go to nwtf.org. From there, you can go to the About, click on your state, and find everybody you need to find for sure.
Awesome.
At a minimum, you can find my name and my number. It's under my ugly picture, and you can call me. I answer the phone all the time, and I'll steer you in the right direction.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right,
Appreciate
thanks,
you being
guys.
on. Thanks for the beer.
No problem.
Cheers.
Hope you enjoyed this podcast. And if you did, please give us a review on iTunes or wherever you are listening to this podcast. That'll certainly help. And jump on over to our Facebook and Instagram page to like and follow there so you can stay up to date with whatever we have going on. In the theme of this podcast, make sure that you are supporting your local conservation group, whatever that is, and whether it's NWTF, QDMA, BHA, any of those fancy acronyms, and just get involved. That's what this is all about, and keep getting people into the outdoors. So thanks for following along. Appreciate the support. Keep feeding them, and just remember, there's no laws when you're drinking White Claws. Yeah.